that there's no controversial special things before the others joins. So we're live?
Yep.
Very good. Okay, so we're climbing into order at 5:40. So could I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 16th? One, two, three, four.
And Petrus is on as well.
And
Gotcha,
who is-
okay,
Petrus is on.
So we have
right,
five.
okay, I'm sorry, that's what I was.
Yeah, she's tougher.
Yep, I took it.
Okay, so a motion for the approval of the special ways and regular Mays from 16th and 18th.
I'll move
Thank you.
Second, Foley.
Thanks, Ryan. Any objections or corrections? Stand approved. Jennifer, are you on? Is Jennifer on?
She is on.
I am on, sorry. It took me a second to unmute.
Anything to
So-
add?
Nothing to add. We're making good progress with getting the tax bills will be out on time. Are there any questions?
There are none, it would appear none here. Are there any questions from any of the legislators online? I think that's just you, Chris.
No questions, sir.
Okay, moving on. Jim Orman, we also have your.
Yeah, in our report, in the transition, all the new workstations came in today. I encourage all of you to stop down and take a look. It looks totally different for tax collection, totally modern, probably to the envy of some other departments. Debating whether to have an open house, I thought an uproar. Also, I just gave you a brief note on the last 10 years of, and mainly it has to do with the cumulative savings that we've affected through job efficiencies, and job reductions and bond rating upgrading. Totaling close to 3.8 billion cash. Never got assigned the tax levy. Finally, I wanted to say it's been my pleasure to work with all of you for the length of your terms here, and certainly my term. And when I give you those above notes, savings, that wasn't me. That was done with support and cooperation of everybody. So it was definitely my pleasure. And plus your predecessor goals. So if I could, I'd like to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, and we'll certainly see you over the next coming weeks at length, I would hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. That was very clever, because now no one can ask you difficult or penetrating questions because it would be inappropriate.
Very answers.
So does anyone have any questions for our departing treasurer?
Last shot.
So we have, why don't we do all the resolutions? There's all these ways resolutions. Let's do them all at once if we name instead of dividing them up by department.
Do you want the other department reports?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I was just saying whether we
Oh,
go to some. of these
Oh, on
resolutions.
theirs. Okay, sorry.
Mary Beth? We have.
Yes. Just a quick note. I know that it's been a topic of conversation. So in addition, we just received a little bit more money from that RDS services contract that we have just recently extended, where we just collected about another 22,000. So that contract has been very valuable to pick up a little extra revenue. So I just wanted the committee to know that.
I'm sorry. What kind of-
Chairman, what was the number that she received?
22?
22.
What was the contract? I'm sorry.
RDRs.
Oh, okay, yep, gotcha.
Great. Any questions for Director of Finance? Chris, are you good? Okay, Aaron, nothing was assumed that he's that he is. Okay,
I'm
HR.
here. I just can't operate the computer.
Yeah, I just don't want to cut you off if if you do have questions, so we can't, I won't necessarily see your hand. So feel free to just jump in if you do have a question or a comment.
Thank you, sir.
HR, Carlene? are you on?
Hi. Hello there.
And we have your- do you have
sorry.
anything to add or highlight?
We're moving right along here as far as the team working efficiently under the transitional state. There are many different hats that we're juggling all at once, just as many of you are. So did you want to report on what we found out just this evening, or do you want me to? With regards to the HR administrator?
That's on the agenda as a resolution. We'll talk about.
Very good. Okay. So no, I have nothing new to add. It's pretty good.
Thank you. Are there any questions for our deputy HR administrator? There appear to be none. Good report, I guess.
Keith, there is one thing.
Oh,
Did-
there is
I
a
don't-
question.
I don't know who brought it up, but there was some discussion about the data that she's accumulating on the number of people who took the exams. And did we decide to do that quarterly or monthly, or
Well, that was a suggestion, but I think the way we left it is the new chair of Ways and Means
we'll decide?
will be discussing that.
Okay, all right.
With HR. Yeah, and certainly the suggestion was to look at quarterly instead of monthly.
Okay.
But that was only a suggestion for, that will be the decision for next year. Okay, very good. So I think, are we ready for resolutions or did I miss someone?
Good.
Okay, great. So we have 16 Ways and Means resolutions and an addition here. Ben, you wanted this? since
Well,
we
if
have
we
it.
add it, otherwise I'll just talk about it at the end. If it's
Well, we
okay.
might as well add it if people wish we'll do it at the end. We'll do it as
I'll get some more copies.
Ways and Means 17. Well, I'm hoping it can be put up on the screen.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Okay, in that case, we'll just talk about it. Because the Mr. Peters is not here, he won't be able to see it even with copies.
It's on the screen.
Okay, it will be on the screen when we get there. Okay, good. Okay, so as I say, we have 16 now. Several of these, levying of taxes, the levy, the authorizing real property, the levying unpaid water and sewer bills. No, not that last, that's a draft, but some of these can't be done until the budget is passed. And I don't remember if we voted on those in the past or we just talked about it. Lynn, you or Jen, either one, do you remember? I was gonna check this before the meeting, I just didn't.
I don't know about Ways and Means, but we actually wrote down.
I'm sorry.
I think it's,
Oh, Jennifer, sorry.
I believe that it's at the legislative meeting. It needs to, these resolutions need to come after the budget is adopted.
I will bring these up as my Ways and Means report, but note that they have not been voted on. Okay, very good, thank you. And that would be the same with levying the taxes, even though that doesn't indicate. So 6 through 9 will hold until the full legislative meeting next week, if that's agreeable with everyone. So that leaves us with 1 through 5 and 10 through 16, and then we have the addition.
Can I bundle 1 through 5?
You can.
I'll second.
We have a motion to bundle 1 through 5, a second. Are there any questions on any of these, or would anyone like any of them both?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm looking over this and I thought there was one resolution regarding hiring an electrical firm at,
That comes later.
where is that? I want to make sure I don't miss that because it's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. Where is that?
15,
It's on 15?
yes. So we have a motion for bundle 1 through 5. Any comments on 1 through 5? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The school taxes, these are 10, 11, certainly are routine.
I'd like to bundle 10 and 11.
Okay.
Second, Petrus.
Second, 10, 11, any objection? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the 12 through 15 are codifications of the employee, the benefits and agreements that we've been talking about for a number of months. Would anyone like to bundle those, or do you want to take them separate?
Bundle 12, 13, and 14. Second.
Okay, any discussion on these? All in favor? Very good, thank you. And then 15 is the one Mr. Lattimore asked about, so if we can clearly, there'll be some discussion on that apparently. So we have a motion for Ways and Means 15.
Move
Second motion, a second. Second for 15?
Is this the
Second.
for the
Oh,
feasibility study,
just vote. What?
the feasibility study for the building?
Yes. So what this is that there was some confusion. Actually, Rich, you have I would simply be repeating
Yeah,
the stuff that you told me. So why don't we get it directly from you?
sure. What happened was in last month's Ways and Means Committee meeting, the proposed resolution to award the feasibility study was discussed in executive session. When we came out of executive session, Mr. Batman read the resolution, which it said that the award would go to Barton and Judas at a cost not to exceed $40,000. When the vote was taken, it was moved, it was approved. When the agenda went to the full board meeting in November, the agenda had attached to it an incorrect resolution, which awarded the contract to John Snyder at a cost not to exceed $20,000. So what this does is correct the record essentially. The full board voted at the November meeting. There was no discussion as to which contract was being referenced. And so in order to clear the record and confirm the intent, which was to make the award to Barton and Judas.
You know, it's Mr. Graham's suggestion that the Ways and Means resolution was just this. But it was Mr. Graham's suggestion. He said just to correct the record and make sure everything is in line, that we go ahead. And in effect, I guess we have to nullify that first Ways and Means. And I think that's in the resolution and then adopt it. So
And the content of this resolution, it rescinds the previous one and makes it clear that the award is going as originally intended to Barton and Judas.
right.
That resolution is a good one, but that's not the one I was talking about. The one I'm talking about is taking away the microgrid that we have at our campus out there. We're going to hire somebody to put up a new line. That kind of thing. But anyways,
Oh, okay. That's in I don't know seeing that, but if it's here, it's in Public Works.
Mr. Duckett brought it forward or something.
Okay, we'll look at that later. Okay, so are there any questions or clarifications on ways and means 15? No, 14, sorry,
15 is correct.
15. I had trouble if you count,
There's a lot.
I got 10 of them. It's a little bit of a strain for it. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And then finally, this is what excuse me, Colleen was referencing, is the authorization to fill the position of HR administrator and the commissioner of civil service. Went through the search process, the references and background checks have all been done, and this is a resolution of appointment. So could I have a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any seconds? Okay, are there any questions or comments on this appointment of the HR administrator?
I guess I have a question. I hadn't seen that particular resolution. Does it name the individual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Why did you?
It was in the packet.
It's up on the
You
screen,
have- oh,
Trish,
here it
if
is.
you
I was
want
gonna
to.
ask that to put up. Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. So, and we should thank the committee, this Lattimore, our chairperson set in, both of our current civil service commissioners, Colleen Lombardi participated, Mike Russell kind of did the grunt work. And so another, that's it, right?
See,
I hate to leave someone out.
you have a start date?
Yeah, January 3rd, I think, isn't that in the resolution?
No.
Soon, no,
No.
but I think it's January 3rd. Colleen, is that right, January 3rd?
It is correct, January 3rd.
So it's, so that's great. You don't know. So, okay, did we vote?
Yes,
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, Health and Human Services.
You want to do 17 or not?
Oh, yes, I did, sorry. Lynn, and you can put this up?
I can put it up. Yep.
Okay. So this is a resolution that was going to be on the agenda and just didn't. So, Mr. Vitale, if you want to discuss this.
Yeah, this is,
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Can we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Okay.
I'll
Amy, 4 seconds. Thank you. And now, for you.
This resolution is basically for $200,000 from the American Rescue Plan Act. And it's basically going to Water and Sewer Authority. And the main purpose, to explain here in the resolution, is that there are many water and sewer projects across the county that get proposed, but nobody has the money or the wherewithal to do the feasibility studies to see if these projects are feasible, what the cost is going to be to the individual residents. When you do a water project based on their the residents' income, and so somebody has to actually do the legwork to see what the overall cost is and what the cost is per resident or EDU, as we refer to them to. And so what this would do is take $200,000 of the ARPA money, put it into an account with the Water and Sewer Authority. Whenever these projects come forward to the Water and Sewer Authority, we would have the ability to, after the board decides it's a worthwhile project to move forward, we would have the ability to do the feasibility studies, get the information that's needed. And then whether it moves forward or not, it goes out to bid and the project is done. This money is recouped, would be put back into the account. So it would be a rollover type of thing. And it would allow water and sewer to progress with some of the districts around the county that just never get off the ground. I think it's appropriate right now because I think with the infrastructure money that's coming, there'll probably be, the next few years, there'll be money for more projects. And I think it's also, it benefits everybody in the county. There's a lot of towns and villages that would like to expand their water districts and things, but they just can't because they don't want to invest this kind of money. And my opinion is the American Rescue Plan Act this is kind of like the perfect use of these kinds of money, so that it'll benefit us for many years to come. I think $200,000 would last quite a while for looking into these types of projects. And like I said, many of them, if they move forward, this money is all recouped, that put back into the account to be used again.
Mr. Lattimore.
I concur that we need double or dual sources of water. We need clean water. Economic development depends on it. It's unfortunate that our lakes have deteriorated to the point they have. Hopefully we can, with the new boards, make sure that whatever bodies of water we do have, that we can clean them up with some of this money. But I think we have to go forward on this issue.
Ms. Daly?
The
and then
only
Mr.
thing I
Schoen.
just wanted to clarify from you, this would probably start with the town and village having some interest, but not being able to move forward. So this will be a direct benefit to them.
In the same process, water and sewer right now is preparing a policy where a town or a village or whatever wants to do a water district, they know the process that has to go. The first step is to come to us and ask us. And then, then the board, Water and Sewer Authority Board would actually look at it and determine whether it's something that we want to invest this money into the feasibility study.
And if the answer is yes, then the information needed to move everything forward can happen. And it wouldn't normally be able to happen unless the town and village coughed
Came
up
up
the
with the
money.
money, or else Water and Sewer put money into it, but we don't really have, Water and Sewer Authority doesn't really have money because they basically have to borrow it from a water or sewer district and then pay it back. And then if the project doesn't move forward, that district's out money, and that's not the way it's supposed to work. Once money is in a district, it really can't leave that district.
So, Mr. Stone, your comment, question?
Yes, more question. Ben, so the way I understand it, you said we loan them money, let's say 100,000. Once the project gets approved, there's monies that, go along with that approved of the project. And then that 100,000 that we loan them would come back to us all the time?
Not back to us. This resolution gives ARPA money to the Water and Sewer Authority to create this account, right? Once that account is established, it's Water and Sewer that will put that money back into
So it
that
comes back to
account
that
be used
account.
for another project.
Okay, so as long as it comes back to that account, so that
Yes.
200,000 technically would be there for
Yeah, I mean, it'll get reduced here and there because there'll be projects that the feasibility study is done, but then it never moves forward.
thank you.
And the hope would be that the board would look at it close enough that there's not a lot of those that would happen.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Foley and then Mr. Fletcher.
Yeah, so I guess maybe Lynn can answer this question, is how much do we have left of the ARPA funds? And while she's researching that, I guess, I think that this is a worthwhile project for those funds. And I think, for these ARPA funds, it was a pool of money, $14 million roughly. We already spent $1 million on Emerson Park, another $800,000 on Sterling, so on and so forth. This one is $200,000. We were supposed to kind of create a list of items that we thought this money could go towards and then prioritize those. I don't know if this falls in the top 5 or 10 most important things to happen in the county. I think I think that this has the potential for that, but I would just hope that even knowing how much we have left in those funds could be beneficial. Because we kind of nickel and dime that so far, Bill, so.
Do you have that number, Lynn?
It's like 12,007,000.
Yeah, I was thinking it was 12 million, so is that extra 7, is that like for me?
Sure is.
Well, I do like to say we can do it.
Okay, Mr. Petro had a comment or a question. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah,
Well, I'm going to strongly object to this being brought forward at this time. This legislature is done in another week from now. And this is a decision that should be made by the people who are coming in. This is totally unfair to bring this up at this time. There certainly should have been foresight if this was necessary, and it should have been discussed in committee, et cetera, as Mr. Batman would object ordinarily, so.
Well, this is the committee that would look at this. This is not a public works thing. This is a legislative Ways and Means resolution. Your point that it might be better to put it off till next year, well, that's a point that people can consider.
It's still a last minute resolution that hasn't been discussed at all that I know
Well, we're discussing it in committee now.
We're doing.
of. Well,
But, yeah. No, I understand your point. It wasn't, you didn't see it in advance.
and $200,000 should be considered in advance.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Send it on to the full ledge.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Health and Human Services, Ms. Dale.
Okay, Health and Human Services also had a very full agenda, as well as a presentation, which I won't get into at this point because there's been no movement on that. But there were, Health and Human Services has 16 resolutions on the agenda. You can see them up there. HH 13 was pulled at committee, as it really had to do with new mental health contractors for the 2022 budget, so they will probably come in January. HH 16 was added after the meeting, and I did circulate that resolution to the Health and Human Services Committee members, giving them a heads up to let them know. This is a request to fill a public health educator in the health department. The incumbent is leaving the department December 20th. And the resignation came the day after the Health and Human Services meeting. So, I did go ahead and request that it be put on the Ways and Means agenda. HH 1 through HH 4 really were resolutions from the Office for the Aging, fairly routine. Sign contracts using OFA funding, enter into a contract with Arise for a RAMP program that Brenda had mentioned in the past, using some unmet need funds. There was a renewal contract for a quarterly newsletter that they do each year, and they also renewed a contract with the Health Network to support assisting those individuals who need COVID vaccines to get access to those appointments, and that is a fully funded endeavor as well, using some of the COVID money OFA has. HH 5 and HH 15. HH 5 was to renew a contract with Finger Lakes Dog Protection, and that supports the rabies work of the department. HH 15 was a request to add up to another 15 part-time vaccination assistant positions to support the work, ensuring that the health department has sufficient pool of available people to call on. Although adding the additional staff, only to those that are needed will be asked, and this will just give them the bench depth to pull when because people are not always available for non-scheduled part-time work. They also have the funds in the health department budget to offset the cost of those vaccine assisters. HH 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 were all DSS resolutions, accepting funds to support adult protective cases around hardships of COVID, a new contract with a renewal contract with Aurora to provide interpreter services. HH 8 is to fill a budgeted human services examiner vacancy, and HH 9 was to enter into a contract with Housing Visions using ARP funds in the amount of up to $250,000. And we are contracting, if this passes, with Housing Visions to provide pre-development work that's necessary to, for them to go out and seek funding for this project. And if this project does pass, it will allow the expansion of our homeless shelter at the Grand Ave site. And I said to the Chris Travisini, who actually came to the committee a month ago to introduce this whole idea, unless you live under a rock, everybody realizes the issues that we have in terms of homeless housing, the costs that we're spending on them. And this will go a long way to show our support to get people out of hotel placements and certainly reduce our reliance on them. HH10 is to reclassify a clerk in the Department of Social Services to a senior typist that's gone through the Civil Service Commission. Lastly, HH14 or 11, 12, and 14 are on the agenda. 11 is to replace a contract mental health therapist who resigned. HH12 is to fill the Deputy Director of Mental Health position due to a recent resignation. It's my understanding that that position will be vacant next week. And with, the DCS leaving at the end of January, we make the case that, we don't want these two high-level positions unfilled. And he asked for permission to seek a replacement for his current Deputy Director in Mental Health. Lastly, there is HH14, and that is really to make a $128,000 transfer from the fund balance to put money in the lines in the mental health budget so that the bills can be paid to cover the mandated costs. The county must pay for court-ordered competency to stand trial assessments, affectionately known as 730s and 251s. The state once paid 50% of those costs, but now it is 100% local costs. We do have people that are placed in those placements. We are exceeding our current budget, and this will highlight the impact that to the county for the state withdrawing those funds, and will of course require a 2/3 vote when it comes to the legislature. So those were the 16 resolutions that were on the agenda, and I'm asked for them to be bundled and passed unless someone wants any separated.
Wait a minute. Can we have a motion to bundle them?
I'll motion.
Yeah, motion to bundle them.
Run through 12, 14, and 15.
I'm sorry, do what?
1 through 12, 14, and 15.
And then 16, Ben, is in the agenda here. This is the public health educator. that got it. Oh, okay. All right, great. Thank you.
So I may want to be separated.
Okay.
Let's discuss first because it depends on the answer. Mr. Lattimore, did you have a comment or question?
That last one you described, is that like a section 8 in the urn?
No.
Thank you for that
So-
clarification.
I have a question and comment. The Deputy Director of Community Mental Health had several conversations about it. It's still not clear to me. Has that position been evaluated?
I did speak with Mike Russell, and Colleen's here. She can add into it that there was information that was requested from the incumbent. And the impression I got from Mike is that he does not believe the grade will be changing at this point.
What's that mean? Has it been
Well,
evaluated? It's a simple yes or no.
I don't, he told me it was a grade 7. She signed the form. That's my understanding. But if it, Colleen might have any additional.
Yeah, do you know,
information.
Colleen, has this position been reevaluated? With the reason I asked that is this position from the beginning of discussions about grading was a question where it should be. And then with the incumbent leaving, it becomes important because we're going to hire someone. But so I guess I'm okay to go along with it. But I'd say this to the future legislature. If it turns out that evaluation indicates that it's a lower or higher grade, well, it won't be higher. If it's a lower grade, then the solution will be to find other duties for that position to warrant the higher grade and not simply say, well, too late.
There is nothing in the resolution that references the grade. The only reference to it was the authorization to fill form. It could say contingent on the full review will be filled at the
So we're not going
appropriate
to
grade.
advertise it until That's all done?
I think there's already an internal advertisement already out.
There is, yeah. So, okay.
Mr. Chair, when you get a chance.
Yeah, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question would be, so I'm just trying to get my mind around this. When will this new position be hired? Because it seems to stand to reason that the new director would hire their deputy. So I guess my question directly is, will this be hired after the hiring of a new director?
I believe, Chris, the position is going to be vacant, I think, as early as December 7th. The individual is going to be starting a different job and they needed her there then. The plan, if it goes forward, is to actually have the hire look internally for a potential candidate and get this particular individual on board prior to the end of January. And then depending on the DCS fill, and we're interviewing right now, there's one internal candidate and 6 candidates from the outside. So the thinking and what was talked about at committee is, there is, the current DCS certainly has the information about the staff and who might make a good deputy. He'd like to hire that, and that position it would be good to have that position in place, especially if the new hired DCS is not from within the clinic or from the community. That was the case he made at the committee.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question. Is this a, does the deputy director serve at the privilege of the director? Meaning, would the new director hypothetically have the ability to dismiss the hire and hire their own?
I mean, it's a non-bargaining position. What
No, that's
civil
not his
service
question. The
protection.
question is, does the director hire
Yes,
and therefore the director can dismiss?
yes. I don't believe I believe it is a department head hire.
Okay.
Andy Dennis.
Thank you.
Can Andy go first?
Yes.
Andy, you're on.
All right, thanks, Keith. For like when we say like in the health department or any department here, when there's positions being added and we say they have the money already in their budget, I guess my question is how? I mean, was there money there because other positions were done away with? And this goes for any department. I mean, we kind of need to know if we're towards the end of the year and a department has money to be able to hire people. Well, how did they end up with the extra money, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yes, Andy, and Lynn's here to clarify that in case at one point during the course of this year, the health department accepted into their budget $300 and some odd thousand of COVID relief money. They've accepted another $2 million into their budget so that they could have resources to work within the school districts. It's my understanding that these dollars, these 100% funded dollars got into their budget and populated in various expense lines along with the revenue.
Right, except, no, let me address that and then move on, because it's not the answer for you, Andy, is this. There are no new positions in any of these resolutions, except for temporary positions that are COVID-based, the vaccination, and those are covered by grants. They're not permanent positions, so your question's a good one. Creating a position based upon money this year may mean that next year there is no money. But there are no new positions here that have the carryover into next year. All the new ones are temporary and grant and COVID funded. The ones that are being filled are current positions, and we say they're in the budget. They're in the budget. It's like the public health educator resigned, and the pretty short notice, pretty critical position during COVID. So I think that was your question, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's fine with what you said. My point being is that's what the public needs to know also. So that's basically why I'm asking that question.
Something I totally agree with you, of course. We need to be very, very careful. So I think Mark had a comment.
question. Lane, is this during committee, I asked you and Ray about this position. You said it wasn't a legislative appointment, correct? Is this the position?
The deputy mental health director would be a hire by the director, the department head of the department, yes.
But Ways and Means and Ledge has to approve the
You know, like anything else, even if
we
to
have to
fill,
hire or agree to say it's okay to fill this position. That might, that question.
currently even budgeted, yes, currently even positions that are in the budget that become vacant, you have to come through this whole process all the time,
But the person is picked solely by the director, correct?
yes.
Mr. Chair, just an observation. I believe that leadership is changing, but the front lines in health, there's been some depletion in our personnel going to other job offers. Is that correct?
You're talking about the health department now?
Well, in our caseworkers, in social services, we're losing a lot of bodies, a lot of trained personnel.
And you have a question or a comment?
Well, I think that instead of having that bleeding where you got to re-educate everybody from the ground up, you better see whether or not the pay scale is equal to.
Okay, yeah, and that's all will be looked at next year, but for our purposes here, that's, I mean, it's not that it's not a good comment, but
I'm just
we're not gonna resolve it tonight.
saying for the next board.
Right. Okay, so I think we're ready. The final comment I want to underscore is on HHS or HH 14, taking the money out of the general fund for psychiatric care. There will never, ever be enough money in the budget to cover these costs. There's serious costs. They go as maybe as little as 100,000 or so. It could be as hundreds of thousands. So during the budget process, we made a decision that the best thing we could do is highlight these costs so we can keep track of. These are mandated costs. As Elaine said, they used to be shared 50-50 with the state, are now 100% the counties. It's a court mandated cost. There's no way to budget for it because you have no idea until the court orders it that it's there. And what this body needs to do is keep on top of that and begin to pressure the state legislature and governor to reassume their responsibilities for some of these costs. And this is a good way to do it, and it's the only way to budget for it. It can't be budgeted for, however. So I just wanted to underscore that so we don't lose track of that next year, because you will see, I bet you're going to see more of them next year, unfortunately.
Regarding tracking the costs for advocacy purposes, are the other counties doing that as well?
I have no idea. I know it's an issue with NICE.
Yeah, I mean, it would be more compelling, advocacy to have, not just us.
Yeah, NICE has a resolution every year saying the state should reassume. It's only been 1 year now. But, yeah, now everyone's it's hitting everything. Okay. Yeah.
And that sum or that total that we have that this is paying this year is 128,000. Am I correct with that?
I'm sorry.
Is it 128,000 for that cost this year?
The estimate is that money is needed to pay the bill for this year. Yes.
128,000.
And we did talk at the committee meeting, what he did about budgeting for next year, and I don't think he budgeted a huge increase. And he said, I don't know how
Right,
many kids, if any, will be there.
Right.
But at this point,
No, that's my point. The advice was don't budget if you can't. Don't put $300,000 in your budget. So, okay.
but you will pay it either way.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, are we ready to vote?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Government operations.
Oh, we got one more. I'll move HH 16.
Second.
I thought that was in the bundle, sorry. Okay, HH 16, a motion and second. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Foley.
Mr. Chairman, before we leave, it's been my pleasure to serve under your leadership. Over many years I've been stuck on HHS.
Many years that Elaine's been stuck with you.
Oh, that's our stock and trade.
Exactly, I know. Okay, Mr. Foley.
Mr. Chair, Government Operations has 6 resolutions. I'll offer up GO 1 through 5 in a bundle unless anyone wants one singled out. GO 6 was added today.
Motion to, well, that is a motion.
Sorry.
So we have a second, okay, moving second 1 through 5. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. GO
Okay.
6.
So GO 6 is authorizing the Director of Infection Services to fill the vacant part-time driver. So that was, well, I'll take a, I guess, a motion for it. Or take a motion.
Yeah,
for
can
it.
we have a motion for GO 6?
I'll move it.
A second? Thank you.
And so we had one of the, as I understand it, the bus drivers that serves on a part-time basis that brings the veterans to and from their appointments to the VA and different doctors. They are either resigning or retiring soon. So this is just to refill that position.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Public Works.
Planning first.
Oh, I skipped planning.
One more time, you got.
I know. Terrible.
You're consistent. All right, Mr. Chairman, planning has 2 resolutions. Often is a bundle.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Public Works, sorry.
Public Works has 4 resolutions. I will offer them as a bundle unless someone wants them one separate.
So can we have a second on the bundle?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or questions on these? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And Judicial and Public Safety.
Chairman, Judicial and Public Safety has 16 resolutions. 3 of them have been through committee, and I'd like to offer them as a bundle. The rest of them, the sheriff's coming up with them as we speak, so. Here we are.
So we have a motion to budget or to bundle. Second. Any questions or comments on any of these? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. So is there any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to reiterate again at the jail and at campus, the electric costs there were very reasonable, and I think that this next maneuver, putting up a new line and hiring NICEAG back is absolutely the wrong direction to go in. Our county agencies vindicated that microgrids are very important things in the future. And the cost of the nursing home is all electric, and those costs are going to just soar. So it was a bad move on our part to decouple it.
Thank you. Any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second. Ms. Kerr seconds. All in favor? We are adjourned. And we're going to start the public hearing when?
We'll do 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. And could I have the members that caucus will be Democrats and caucus room 2 for literally
Can anyone in chambers hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Andy. We haven't started the meeting yet.
Okay, I'm just curious why it says up next planning. I mean, that might confuse a few people who think they're coming into the ledge meeting for a public hearing.
Ladies and gentlemen,
That's good news. That's a good one.
He's eating right through the tape.
Yeah, Jim, everybody can stay one way. Elaine, put down it, thanks a lot.
okay, it's about 6:43. I'm going to call this meeting to order.
Tucker Whitman is excused. Andy Dennison,
Present.
Ben Vitale,
Here.
Chris Petrus,
Present.
Paul Pinkney,
Here.
Keith Batman,
Here.
Hans Petcher,
Here.
Mark Strong,
Here.
Heidi Nightingale,
Present.
Elaine Daly,
Here.
Trisha Kerr,
Here.
Timothy Lattimore,
Here.
Michael Didio is excused. Ryan Foley,
Present.
Aileen McNabb Coleman.
Present. Please stand for the pledge.
Can we have a moment of silence for
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence for Pearl Harbor. Observe it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
This meeting serves as a public hearing for the 2022 budget. I hereby open the public meeting at 6:45. Thank you. Yes, thank you. If you're watching right now and you'd like to call in to address the budget, the number is 315-294-8051. The number again is 315-294-8051. We have conducted testing on our phone service to be sure people can get in. So it is working.
You have a moment.
Hello, you've reached the legislative queue line. This is for the public hearing on the 2022 budget. Can you state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes? Hello?
You're still engaged? Yeah. Still running.
Right?
Yeah.
Turn the volume all the way up. Hello? Anyone there?
Nothing. It says the only call that's registered right now. It's just- That's an old call.
Yeah, those were just the ones we tested.
Okay. We did just receive a call, but it didn't appear that someone was on the other end. So if that person is listening, please attempt to try again. The number is 315-294-8051. We'll wait we're going to keep this open for a little while. So in the interim, we can talk about the budget.
Sure.
Legislator
Can
Pinkney,
you make amendments at this time?
you may make amendments at this time. And I will look to hang on I will look to Lynn and our attorney to help guide this process. To be sure that we are documenting the information you're sharing.
I've got a couple of them here, but I'd like to make a motion to amend account number A10101510001. The chair, salary of the chair of the legislature.
Mr. Pinkney,
would you mind just starting over at the people, just getting organized?
Okay.
Thanks.
I'd like to make an amendment to account number A10101511001. Chair of the Ledge for a reduction of $15,000 for the year of 2022. Reducing it to $45,000.
The current line reads how much?
60.
I believe that's what we have.
I'd second that amendment.
The budget in the total, that's 268,000. What we currently have in the detail.
It's in the chairman's office, Paul?
Yeah, it's $60,000.
Okay. We have a motion for amendment in a second, and so we'll continue the discussion.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Petrus?
thank you. Just so I could clarify, that was to reduce it by 15,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Lattimore?
Is that in anticipation that we're gonna have an operations manager?
That's correct.
And as soon as we find one, then the chairman's position would go down further?
That's correct. Well, it's big, no, the total is 45,000, any way you want to slice it. So you're reducing it in premonition of 6 months, you'll have enough operation.
And I believe in that instance, if you were going to reduce further, you'd have to go through the process, or could you? You couldn't, I think, maybe during that term.
Yeah.
Right, so it's important to do before the term. Okay.
So if we set this annual salary at 45,000, you're basically making the case that the operations manager is in the budget. It has been advertised, but there's been no interviews or anything started. The assumption is it will take a few months and then some transition to get that individual up to speed. So this would allow for more hours technically
Transition.
in the beginning,
Correct.
and then things might level off once the hire is done.
Correct.
Right.
The total expenditure is 15,000 less.
Mr. Dennison. Mr. Dennison?
So just to clarify also, so if an operations officer is hired or whatever you call the position, then this would stay at 45,000. It wouldn't go back down to the original 30,000 that it was before when we used to have.
You spread it out over the 12 months, it's exactly what it would be doing. I'm not mistaken.
So you're suggesting that if during the first 6 months, if somebody was making 60,000, you hired somebody and then it would shoot down to 60, you're saying same amount to just drop it now to 47.5 or 45. Is that what you're saying?
I think Rich would have to, chime in on this. I'm not sure if you're trying to set an annual salary of 45,000 or whether you want their rate of pay to be at 60,000 in the first 6 months and then drop to 30. I don't know that that's possible.
That's what I'm
It has to be, the whole year is 45.
The whole year is 45.
Right, so.
But it's on the assumption, but it averages out to be equivalent to getting 60 from January to June
Right.
and 30 from June to December.
Because we don't have a drop dead date of when that hire would be.
Right.
Take that out of the equation.
So then at the point of an addition of the operations officer, the chair would still be making 45.
Right.
And then into next year, unless you dropped it.
I mean,
further.
then it's like,
It's up to
and
the
to Andy's
budget.
question, I guess for 2023, the legislature could decide what they want the salary to be in 2023.
Twenty twenty-three is, it's a whole new.
Right.
whole new budget.
Legislative Daily?
But I think, Rich, just to clarify what you had said prior to this, once the salary is set and the person gets appointed, you cannot lower the salary during the period of appointment.
That's correct.
So if it's set at 45 and when someone takes the oath, then basically that's the salary for the year.
Correct.
And you can't do that with a change of local law
No,
or permissive referendum to lower.
So it can go up, but it can't come down.
So you want a motion on that?
I made a
Motion,
motion.
second.
You got a second?
Seconded.
Is there further discussion?
Yeah, there's no more discussion.
Is there further discussion on this?
I just want to say that
No,
whether or not you call this person an operational manager or
Madam Chair, point of order, there's motion on the floor having to do with the salary of the chair. It's not related to the operations
we're
manager. or anything
trying to
else.
save money here.
Understand that, then
Yeah.
that would be.
We've spent a lot of money on management.
that
there would be a
a-
savings of 15,000. As proposed.
Except,
the question.
except for the past 2 years. That's right. Roll call vote?
Tucker Whitman is excused. Andy Dennison,
Yes.
Ben Vitale. Chris Petrus,
Yes.
Paul Pinkney,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
Yes.
Mark Strong,
Yes.
Heidi Nightingale,
Yes.
Elaine Daly,
Yes.
Trisha Kerr,
Yes.
Timothy Lattimore,
No.
Michael Didio is excused. Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Aileen McNabb Coleman,
Yes.
passed.
Okay, well, we're on a roll here.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there. If, just want to remind everyone that we're in the middle of our 2022 Cayuga County budget hearing. If you'd like to comment today on the hearing, please call the number 315-294-8051. Number again, is 315-294-8051.
Is there a hand up on the screen?
I mean, it's the mouse.
Oh,
Oh,
Can I?
Mr. Vitale?
Clarification, I'm sorry, it was I said, but what account would the 15,000 increase? Would that reduce the draw on fund balance or?
Yes.
Okay, I do this. You didn't say that, though, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That works out.
Do you have another proposal, Mr. Paul?
I do. Go back. Account number A, 132-51-51001. Treasurers. Salary, I'd like to make an amendment to take that to $67,500. Reduction of $10,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a first and a second. Any discussion on this?
Same question, to reduce the draw on fund balance?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any other further discussion on this?
And can you say this again, please?
It's a reduction of $10,000 from the 77.5 that's in there right now. Reducing it 10 grand to 67,500.
This is for who now? The treasurer?
County treasurer.
And that's the final, I mean, that's what we want the salary to be, even though we've split the department and taken, I don't know, 50% basically of the work away.
This proposal for tonight, after a lot of discussion, ranges from lots of lower numbers to this number. So it's just what people thought was came to an agreement with, and that's what I'm proposing.
Further discussion? Call the question? Okay. We will call.
Tucker Whitman is excused. Andy Dennison,
No, I think it should be lower.
Ben Vitale,
No.
Chris Petrus,
Yes.
Paul Pinkney,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
Yes.
Mark Strong,
Yes.
Heidi Nightingale,
Yes.
Elaine Daly,
Yes.
Trisha Kerr,
Yes.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio is excused. Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Aileen McNabb Coleman.
No.
It's passed.
Further amendments. this evening?
I'm good. Anybody else?
I think Ms. Kerr has.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, the poinsettia.
I have a proposed amendment to the planning department budget to accommodate an $8,000 expenditure for professional services for HABs monitoring on Cayuga Lake. This was a proposal that was, my understanding, was supposed to be included in the initial 2022 budget, but was inadvertently left out. And it's the total cost is $24,000. This would be split between the 3 counties within the watershed of Cayuga Lake, Cayuga, Tompkins, and Seneca counties for HABs monitoring. They have volunteer citizens going out and doing monitoring and pinpointing of HAB sightings, and then those samples are taken to labs and certified as whether or not they're actual HABs. And so I don't know if we allow department heads to speak on this or not, but this is something I would like to offer up for consideration to support those efforts that are going on.
Do you have the account number?
So the account would be for the professional services is A87404 -54059. And the proposal would be to increase the amount from 45,000 to 53,000, and to essentially accommodate that through sales tax revenue.
Second.
The budget's already balanced, so there, you're talking about increasing the sales tax?
That's what I was thinking.
Fine. Yeah, that wouldn't clear to the fund.
Yeah,
Do you know that number, or Len, do you have it?
I have that number. Would be A10100-41110.
Thank you. I'll second that. You're moving it?
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Discussion, Mr. Fuller.
Just a point of order, I guess. Mr. Batman was wrong in that the department heads can't speak here. It's up to your discretion as chair of the legislature, whether you choose to recognize or not.
That's a good point. Yes.
Thank you.
Well done, Mr. Fuller.
All right.
Well done.
I was attempting, I didn't think this would be controversial. I was attempting to not keep us here any longer than we had to. Wow. I think Trish did a good explanation of what it is.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Petrus?
so I'm just looking for some clarification. This is a worthy cause. However, I think that the chairwoman did an excellent job of proposing a 0 increase. So this the proposal as it stands is to add it to the tax levy. However insignificant, it is adding and changing our zero tax percent.
This
increases.
is not, we added to the tax levy.
So where are the funds coming from?
Sales tax,
Increased sales tax revenue by $8,000 more.
right?
Oh, this again. Okay.
A projection.
Yes, we have it, and we did project very conservatively. I mean, not very, but conservatively. And I do want to say, this was inadvertently left off. It was not in the department request initially, so this was not a decision I made to not include this in the budget. It was.
We have done this in the past. The county has contributed this money in the past, just it didn't inadvertently get into the 2022 budget.
Sure.
So now, call the question, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Mr. Dennison? That is carried.
Basically opposed to all of a sudden we're projecting higher sales tax pretty freely, but I recall the past few years being told we needed to be careful about that.
Well, we certainly didn't balance our budget on sales. But we have budgeted conservatively for what we've been taking in what's trending in the next past couple of years into next year, so. But you're right, you should never use the sales tax to balance your budget to fund services in your county, because that is often fleeting. I think we've learned that lesson in the county several years ago. Any other amendments while we're conducting this public hearing? I'm going to say the number once again.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to say that, Mr. Vitale proposed, 200,000 for a new water line. The hardware that's for that water line is going to be expensive. The more money we can put in soil and water to help the erosion, which ends up in the lakes, which ends up adding to the HABs, is probably a lot cheaper than building new water lines. So hopefully we can clean up the erosion issues with our lakes.
Okay, the number is 315-294-8051. I want to allow for ample time for the public to. This point, it's only been 20 minutes. Mr. Pinckney.
Make sure the clock's.
We have a recommendation.
It's been known to stop.
Our attorney's projecting at least 45 minutes. We should be open for
Can you
public
sing us a
speaker.
couple of songs? Okay.
We got one question. Is what are we gonna buy?
I have it. There's 20 days left from the year.
You don't think he's got a no hitter though, right?
Good.
Madam Chair, can I hold the number just to make sure it's working?
You may. Yep, the number is 315. There you go. You got it.
All right.
Is that you?
Yeah, okay.
Is it working?
Here, I'll answer.
Make sure you can hear me. All right. Testing, 3, 4, 5.
We checked, actually Jeff did, and the person hung up immediately.
Okay.
So it was a mistaken call, I believe.
It's a prank call. Oh, no.
I don't think he meant to. Okay, yeah, no, right away.
Maybe just to see it was working.
Minutes? Well, I mean, I hate this dead air, but I'd like to say, Heidi, it's been a pleasure serving with you, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Trish? We can get together.
Trish, want me to hit him? I want to hit somebody. Let me.
Maybe you can get the
No fighting.
I know,
Guys.
Yeah.
It hasn't been such a pleasure.
I'm happy with the camaraderie, but we ought to keep it to a level here.
I wish they had. Wait a minute.
Thank you.
I called Keith today and said Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I did get the message.
You did get the message?
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very
I don't know whether Santa's gonna bring any coal or not.
What
Well,
about
I don't burn
our
coal, but I burn wood.
Oh,
Come on.
I'm saving that for the big party.
we spoke, he got a
I'm
check.
trying to get
He
some
got a
in
check.
here and some over there.
Tim, something tells me.
Yeah, I gave him a
you're gonna
check.
stay for politics.
To say nice things.
You know, look at Google that retread.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I love you too, Tiffany.
Mr. Batman,
I guess in the spirit of Tim fulfilling time, I think it is important to say that this is a very solid budget, that you've done a great job, you know, the department heads, that the sales tax, which Mr. Jensen referenced, and it's a good point, is a really good point, be careful with that. But that sales tax based upon what's been coming in is very conservative. You know, but despite those conservative numbers, this is a first budget in many years. In fact, this is the first budget ever that is at a zero tax increase that did not rely on one-time funds. The last time Cayuga County did not have a tax increase was when the tobacco money flooded in and we spent that down and then had to have double-digit tax increases for several years to catch up. So you've done a marvelous job in bringing in a 0% increase for our taxes. It has all the things in the budget I think that have to be in there. The opportunity, Tim mentioned water quality issues. It's big in my world as well. And there's some nice direction and some good programs. And more of that will be available, Tim. I think that ARPA funds will see that some of those will go to the kinds of stuff you're talking about. I'm confident. So it was a fabulous job. This county is been well served.
director as well, and all the department heads, but yes, it was a good effort. I think we set the stage last year with a 1.9. That was a nice, that was a very solid budget last year, and then we really kind of made way to do something special this year, so.
Madam Chair, I want to pour a little, I guess, water on all these wonderful feelings. Our spending is way out. Let's not forget that. Yes, we're covering it with sales tax money, and we're covering it with increased assessments. So taxes are up for a lot of people. So let's not brag about too much how this is a zero budget. And in the next 2 years, the spending is going to go down.
Right.
We got inflation and all this and that. We've got to be careful.
That's true.
Of course.
We have to keep that in mind, starting day one in January 4th, that first meeting that we have to think about not bloating this budget. But we were able, over the past couple of years and this past year, we're able to do some important restructuring in our departments. So I think we set the stage to get, more efficiencies, and we've had a lot poured on us from the state that we still need to keep up with, a lot of mandated things. But yeah, overall, that's true. The whole entire budget is grown, but it's also important to recognize that we did not need an increase in taxes on top of what's already been growing. So, but it has been the cost of doing business. Health insurance has gone up. We have a lot of very limiting factors that we can control to just help bloat the budget a bit. So, yeah, we'll continue to grow.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Did
In
you want to
regards to
compliment
Hans's-
me? No.
Hans's piece, the double whammy would be a tax increase and a reassessment.
Yeah.
Hopefully this county can get under our new real estate director, Jenny, or Mrs. Delicato. Get one vendor to look at a farm in the north and then look at a farm in the south and have equal assessments on those properties. Have one vendor look at houses on the lakes so that we have equal, so that nobody's overtaxed or undertaxed.
That's what the equalization rate is for. And that equalizes.
Well, we know sometimes those aren't right. The town of Fleming had a low rate for many years.
Not anymore.
Well, they reassessed. We have reassessments in order to make sure everybody is the same. So I do agree with you that you gotta be careful, but we do have to invest in the future.
We have an awful lot of problems to fix from the past, such as the county office building, et cetera, okay? And that's what we need to concentrate on.
I think that Mr. Strong's suggestion at our last meeting after the meeting was a good one. It's got a piece of property that might be cheaper than rebuilding. So
Tense?
all good ideas. Hopefully the new board members can come up with some great ideas.
Mr. Foley's good. In agony.
I got big.
One cost that I've been trying to get my hands around is the cost of software and hardware. And I think the other day, Madam Chair, you did recognize the gentleman I brought in, and his firm has met with Mr. Bond. And I think that everybody agrees that there's a better way of doing it. So hopefully you can reduce those costs on our IT. Just to run the jail for 600,000 in software, just open the doors up there. So I'd hate to be held hostage by some of the vendors.
Okay.
But announced.
I'm going to allow for about 5 more minutes. Again, the number is 315-294-8051. If you wish to call and speak to the 2022 county budget that's been proposed.
Madam Chair, just a quick question.
Yes.
Are we considering passing the budget after the hearing closes tonight, or are we waiting until
Next week?
Entirely up to this body.
I'll make a motion to do so when it's time.
Not scheduled for this week.
No, we have to finalize meeting next week that we can pass.
When you say goodbye to.
Sayonara.
Well, what-
Hans, are you happy with the budget? You want to pass it on? You're
You're not.
you're like a second financial officer. Fran Mitchell used to be pretty good at that.
Still is at water and sewer.
Last 10 minutes was great. Good point.
Oh, y'all looking good.
You brought up the building. I am eager to hear ideas next year. Seeing what the assessment does, for thinking about our space, thinking about what footprint really kind of right sizing our space. And who can work remotely, who should work remotely, thinking about flexible working conditions. I think we're losing a couple of, I know one employee has left to work with a more flexible work environment, so they can work remotely when needed or when wanted to. So I hope that this body can work together and actually present those ideas. I hear a lot of people who say, no, we shouldn't do this, and no, we shouldn't do that, but I don't hear any ideas or solutions about what we should do. So I'm really eager to work with next year's group and talk about what we should do or what we could do to really solve these problems. So But I will tell you that, as I mentioned last meeting, take a tour, go to the fourth floor, for example, ask to be let in, walk around, and you won't look at our employees the same. So I encourage you to do that, because that secondary trauma that they live through when they're dealing with the public in the way that they have to give them the services they need. When you are standing between a parent and children and you have to take those children away, we certainly don't have a great environment for folks to come in here every day and feel fresh and feel motivated to continue being effective. So, these are all really important things to think about.
Madam Chairwoman, January 4th, are you allowing the public in, or how are you handling that meeting?
That's not up to me. There's a period of December 31st to the reorganization meeting that we do not have a leader in the county. And the county clerk, I believe, makes these decisions in that absence.
Thank you.
I found out that stunning time lapse last year when we had emergency COVID issues, and my hands were tied for those few days. So I think Chris Petras and I discussed that perhaps with the charter, you don't have this sort of lapse. And the governor was making decisions for Cayuga County instead of me during those 4 days. So I see there's a need to see if we can get something continuous or move up the reorganization meetings to the first of the year.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the funds were brought up tonight with regards to how much we have and all that. And I've asked before if we could get our electeds to come in, or their representatives to maybe talk about, how the funds are going to be distributed. I know it's like a block grant to the state.
Oh, the infrastructure money you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, that will be discussed.
be nice to get everybody to say what they're going to do for Cayuga County.
That will be on charge of next year's leadership as well. Yeah.
Give Hans an early Christmas present.
Yes.
I think all of the infrastructure money is coming through state agencies and it's grant driven, so you apply for it and it's a competitive statewide process. Now, they may regionalize it, but I don't think anyone's gonna make any allocations via the county. Well, like ARPA money, I think you gotta apply for it. It's a good specific project.
It's another series of hungry games.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me.
So do we have projects ready to go?
Oh, well, we got some, yeah, we got the water. We got the water.
We should have 10 more.
We don't have the assessment on the broadband, right, from the survey. We don't have any information on how that survey went.
Yeah, I can't, that's a good question. May I?
Mr. Batman, then Mr. Dennison.
But yeah, I'm just wondering if I don't want to ask Paul the question directly, Madam Chair, so I'll direct it to you. I wonder if Mr. Pinkney, as chair of the Central New York Regional Planning, has any more information on the broadband project, because I've asked, and what I keep hearing is, yeah, it's done, it's being reviewed, it's going to come out to the counties, and I first heard this a month ago or so. And so I don't know where that's at.
Yeah, I don't have that information. I know the survey wrapped July 31st. I've been very eager to see what the outcome would be to the broadband survey. We have needs in this county. However, the infrastructure money is supposed to address broadband needs, and there's supposed to be plenty so that it's not a terrible competition to get what we need here. That's what I've heard, but Mr. Pinckney, do you have anything you want to add?
I reached out today after I saw your meeting, and I have not heard back.
Thank you.
Give some kind of a current answer before Tuesday.
That'd be great.
My final assignment.
Should you decide to accept it.
Mr. Dennison?
Yeah, this may be more of a legal question. I don't know, but I know years ago, like when my father was on the legislature, the new people were sworn in January 1. Now I get it. It's January 1. It's a holiday. But is there any way to do the restructural meeting like December 30th or December 31st? And that way you don't have that issue of a gap or do it, January 1st, so you don't have that issue of a gap?
Yes, you could.
You could do it January 1st. You couldn't do it December 31st unless you did it 12/01,
Right.
January 1.
Some municipalities do it on New Year's Eve.
Start meeting.
Have their organization.
The City of Auburn does their swearing in on January 1st. So yes,
Question for Richard. The chair would be a holdover anyway, would it not? The chairperson?
No,
No?
no.
I saw it in most offices,
Our clerk
I don't
runs.
believe so, because when the resolution, the vote is for the calendar year.
Clerk
Would
runs.
be my recollection. I mean, I can look at the resolution.
I saw I ran across in town law that, if the supervisor wasn't replaced or whatever, automatically, would continue,
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
Town law is different than county law. I mean, I agree with you, it doesn't make sense, but.
Then can I make a motion that we do it January 1st? Maybe that morning?
That resolution has gone through government apps, setting the organization meeting for January 4th. You could amend it if you wanted on 14th, when that resolution comes before the full board.
That's not a public hearing resolution.
Now, the city used to meet like at 10 o'clock and then the county used to have their swearing in at 1 o'clock. So that you could attend both instead of competing.
okay. I have not received any phone calls. So at this point, at 7:25, I'm going to close the public hearing. Legislator Bettman?
Not hearing any comments from the public, and obviously, we don't have any other recommendations or changes to the budget. Therefore, I see no reason to hold off until next week, so I'll make a motion to approve the budget as presented and amended.
Okay, we have first and a second to approve 2022 budget. Discussion on this motion?
Yes, ma'am, Chair. I mean, just as a matter of housekeeping, the amendments that were proposed that you all voted on will become a written resolution, and all three of those changes will be in that. I mean, as far as documentation is concerned, will be in that resolution. So in terms of voting on approving the budget, the tentative budget as presented was amended with those three amendments. And so you're now voting on that complete package.
Yeah, that was my intent.
On the amended budget.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Madam Chair, when you get a chance, I have a question.
Discussion with Petrus.
Thank you. I just know that there's some other projects out there that have been proposed and we're awaiting consideration. So I'm just curious, do we have a tally on the American Rescue Funds? Like what our balance is available, if possible?
That are 12,700,000.
12,700,000.
12/7.
12,700,000.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Lattimore?
this budget that we're passing tonight is nothing but a blueprint for the spending of next year's monies, but it can be changed, like if all of a sudden one of our industries need to grow, double in size, and they need a new sewer pipe or maybe a new roadway or something, you can always expend those monies in the future. It's not cast in concrete, is that correct?
Process for amending the budget, but you do have to have a balanced budget. But yes, it can.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? I'm not seeing any online. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
Tucker Whitman, is excused. Andy Dennison,
Opposed.
Ben Vitale. Ben Vitale.
Yeah.
Chris Petrus,
Yes.
Paul Pinkney,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
Reluctant, yes.
Mark Strong,
Yes.
Heidi Nightingale,
Yes.
Elaine Daly,
Yes.
Trisha Kerr,
Yes.
Timothy Lattimore,
Zero tax increase, yes.
Mike Didio's excused. Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Aileen McNabb Coleman,
Yes.
passed.
And special shout out to Hans.
Yeah.
I move we adjourn.
One second. All right, thanks, everyone.
So are we still having a meeting next week?
Yes, we are. We have to close out on our monthly resolutions.
Regular meetings, we have meetings.